Well, to me, he was the most religious person in the real sense of anybody I've ever met. His hands were absolutely fantastic. He could hardly touch you and totally transform it, everything. And he was so inspiring. He really could lift you, if you were in a bad state. He could, just by talking to him somehow and talking about the work, suddenly you were up there and, rather like Bach's music, and you saw it all made sense.
And it was wonderful to watch the release on their faces when quite suddenly they were letting go and letting go and letting go. And I think when you were having a wonderful lesson from somebody, or particularly with Alexander, you went up and up and up and up. He built you up, your head and your back, and your head and your back, the two together, and sort of head and back, and that. You felt absolutely wonderful. You could go outside and push over buses.
I remember one man coming out of his room in a rather flustered state. He said to me, as I was just coming in, he said, "What a wonderful man, what an extraordinary man, what a marvellous man." He said, "I can't understand a word he says." And he was rather like that. People didn't understand a word he said. Alexander was a good teacher and a bad one. He was both. He was brilliant with his hand. He was brilliant with his brain, of course, in seeing what happened. He was brilliant with his hands in being able to organize your body differently. But he was not brilliant in being able to explain what he was doing to his pupils.
And Alexander's work is very simple, and as you say, it's extremely elusive. But it's the ease in which you redirect that energy so that the downward pressures just can't exist.
And he used to say to me sometimes, the people who come here are the salt of the earth. But if they knew what they were going to have to undergo, they wouldn't come. The first. But then he used to say, well, where else can they go? He realized, you see, he really knew and remembered how difficult it is. I think the main thing in teaching is really insisting that the person works themselves. You see, this isn't something really that you get from the outside.
Alexander's discovery gives us back our natural, much more of our natural ease and flexibility of movement.
But you thought you had learned something new. What you were doing, you were just letting go.
You see, it's a form of movement.
Could you show us what you mean by that? It's a form of movement? Could you demonstrate it for us?
Oh.
Don't try to find
Yes.
a book and describe what you
Most people, in picking up a book, if you'd watch them, they'd come down this way to pick up the book. Now, look what they've done. See how they pull their body down? And see the pressure I have here? Now, they don't feel that because they've grown up doing that for a long time. Now, there's no reason why, if I want to pick that up, I just don't leave my body alone. Where do I move from in both instances? My hip joint is where I really move from. Now, if I move from my hip joint, all I have to do is move my arm to pick up the book. There's no reason why I have to add this to the fact that I want to put the book down or pick it up. That's a very, very simple way to demonstrate it, but that's the thing we do.
We'll now demonstrate the wrong way of sitting down, purposely the wrong way. Yes, that's it. That's what we don't want. And it's what a lot of people do. And now I want you to get up out of the chair and do it badly like that, doing exactly the same thing in reverse. So you pull your head back and you get your ass, that's exactly what we don't want. Now, he's got to change that. He's got to do something completely different. So he lets his head go forward and up, and his back goes back and up, and he goes on with that. Now you can bend your knees. Yeah, that's it. And that's quite good. And if he gets up the same way, that'll be good too. So he takes his head up out of his body. He leaves his body back, and then he goes forward with his head, and that gets him out of the chair. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's quite simple when you can do it. But I get it's very difficult when you don't know how to do it.
So you'll find that Alexander teachers always try to re-establish a good balance of the head and neck on the back and shoulders. So let me show you how we set about it. I would ask Tawny to think the words neck free, neck lengthen. I'm going to put my hands on her, and I would ask her to think of neck free as being rotation free at the very top. I would ask her to think of neck lengthen like a hollow column of neck coming from between the shoulders. Necks are very long things. They start from between the shoulder blades. And instead of the neck being scrunched down into the shoulders, we've got to begin to make it lengthen out. Now, she can feel, I don't know if you can see, that I'm very gently freeing her neck and taking her head out. So I ask her to add on the words neck free, neck lengthen, head forward and out. Now, forward she can think of almost as a negative, as not pressing her skull backward. And the out implies pointing her head out towards me.
But it is essentially, there we go, that's right, essentially confidence is the word, you see, because the essence of the technique is inhibition and direction. It's you standing here and you're looking out there and you're saying, yes, this is where I want to be. This is how I want to be. I want to be like this. I want to be breathing. I want to be light. I want to be free. I want